Hi guys, in this video we will be discussing hypothesis testing for proportions. So last time ang diniscuss natin is yung one sample z-test and one sample t-test. So today, i-discuss naman natin kung paano tayo nag-hypothesis testing when it comes to comparing a proportion. So hypothesis testing for proportions is being used to compare a proportion in one group to a specified population proportion. So, same lang sila nung steps sa one sample z-test, t-test. Ang kaibahan lang nila guys is ito ay iba ang formula. So, kung natatandaan ninyo dun sa one sample na z at saka yung t, ang formula natin is sample mean minus population mean all over standard deviation divided by square root of n. So, ito yung ginagamit natin sa step 3. So, ito naman yung gagamitin natin in testing proportions. Okay? So, ang ating mga given is yung P cup, ito, which is the sample proportion, and then yung P sub 0 is the hypothesized population proportion, and N is the sample size. Okay? Para mas maintindihan nyo yan, kung kailan tayo gumagamit ng hypothesis testing for proportions and this formula, let us proceed with the first example. Okay, let's have the first example. A researcher claims that more than 75% of Filipinos are right-handed. In a random sample of 150 Filipinos, 120 of them said that they were right-handed. Is there a sufficient evidence to support the claim at 0.10 level of significance? Guys, kapag ka nakakita kayo ng proportion sa isang problem, like nagsasabi siya na out of whole population, ito ang nagsabi ng ganito. Out of the whole population, ito ang na-interview nila na ganito. So, kapag ka nakakita kayo ng mga ganong proportion like 10 out of 50 or 9 out of 10, yung mga ganon, ibig sabihin nun, we are dealing with proportion. At the same time, when you see a percentage sign of the population, I mean the hypothesized population, pag nakakita kayo ng naka-percent, aside from the level of significance kasi minsan, si level of significance, naka-percent din yan. So, kapag nakakita kayo ng percentage na hypothesized population size, ibig sabihin nun guys, you are dealing with proportion. Okay? So, ang gagawin nyo, hanapin nyo rito yung claim. Ganun pa rin, katulad sa one sample z-test, t-test. So, in this case, ang kiniklaim daw nitong researcher ay more than 75% of Filipinos are right-handed. Ibig sabihin, mas dominant daw yung kanang kamay ng more than 75% of Filipinos. So, magsimula dyan hanggang dito yung ating claim. Okay? So, yung researcher ang nakiklaim niyan. So, to test the claim, gagamitin natin yung hypothesis testing for proportion. Kasi sinabi dito, out of 150 Filipinos sampled, 120 of them said. So, ibig sabihin, said that they were right-handed. Ibig sabihin, 120 out of 150. So, by this fraction, we are creating a proportion. So, pagka ganyan, guys, may proportion na ganyan, you will use the hypothesis testing for proportion, which is also z-test. So, z-test din to, guys. Okay? So, step 1 is to create or construct the null and alternative hypothesis. So, again, ang claim natin dito, guys, mag-start tayo dun sa keyword na more than. Ayun. Kasi yun yung pinaka-importante dyan. Yung keyword na nagsasabi na ang dalawang bagay ay hindi parehas. So, more than 75%. Okay? Of Filipinos are right-handed. Ayun yung kiniklaim dyan. Now, pag sinabi nating more than, ang symbol na makakapag-represent sa more than is itong symbol na to. Tama? Ayan. So, itong symbol na to, kung matatandaan nyo, sa column yan ng HA. So, ilalagay ko yan sa HA. So, instead of putting population size, tas ganyan, di ba ganyan yung ginagawa natin sa z-test? Ayan. Ganyan yung ginagawa natin sa z-test at sa t-test one sample. What will you do is you will replace this symbol, yung hypothesized population proportion. Okay? So, yan yung lalagay nyo. P sub 0 is greater than 75%. Ngayon, guys, itong 75%, make sure na nakadecimal siya. So, divide nyo na lang siya by 100% para makancel yung percent niya. So, 0.75. You can always use your calculator, 75 divided by 100. Ayan, kung ano lumabas sa calculus. So, 0.75. Yun yung ilalagay nyo rito sa HO tsaka sa HA. So, kung natatandaan ninyo guys, yung HO, HA, reviewin lang natin ng konti. Pag ang HO ay not equal, ang HA not equal. Pag HO greater than, greater than or equal to, ang HA ay less than. Kapag ang HO ay less than or equal to, ang HA ay greater than. Tama? Ayan. So, palagi silang in an opposite direction. At the same time, si HO, siya yung palaging may equal sign. So, equal, not, ito, may equal sa ilalim, ito rin. So, yun yung kaibahan nila ni HA. So, ibig sabihin, yung claim natin dito na more than 75% is in the column HA. Kasi more than, wala naman siya sinabing at least 75%. So, pag sinabi kasing at least 75%, ang gagamitin nyo is pa ganyan. So, wala siyang sinabing ganun. Ang sabi niya lang, more than. So, this is the right symbol to use, more than. So, nasa HA yan. Okay? So, ang kabaligtaran niyan sa HO is less than or equal to. So, copy lang din si 0.75. Okay? So, that is your first step. Next one is the step 2. So, ang step 2, again, i-state natin yung ating level of significance or yung alpha, which in this case, ang binigay, 0.10 level of significance. And then, you have to identify the test to be used. So, ang test na to guys is still z-test. So, z-test ang ginagamit natin kapag testing for proportion. Okay? So, z-test to. Ngayon, ang z-test, di ba, wala siyang df. Yun ang kaibahan nila ni t-test. Si t-test may df. So, in this case, since z-test to, because we are dealing with proportions, we do not have to get the df. Okay? So, diretso na kayo sa graph. So, lagay ko na lang din dito ha, df. Ayan, wala tayong df. Pang t-test lang yan. So, yung bago pala tayo mag-graph, alamin muna natin kung ilang tail by looking at the HA. So, yung HA natin, ito yung ginamit na symbol, greater than. So, pag greater than, di ba, one-tailed yan. Ayan. So, one-tailed, since greater than siya, one-tailed right. Ayun. So, sa kanan. Di ba, pag not equal, two-tailed. Okay? Pag less than, one-tailed tapos left. Okay? In this case, ang nasa HA natin, palagi kayong sa HA titingin when it comes to graphing. So, yung HA natin ay greater than, therefore, one-tailed sa right. Okay? So, ayan. So, ang graph natin would be here. So, right. And then, we will look up the critical value of this graph. So, pupunta tayo ulit dito sa table na to. Ayan. Tapos, alamin natin, sabi dito, one-tailed. Tapos, ang alpha ay 0.10. Tapos, z-test. So, one-tailed. Ito yung one-tailed. Unahin nyo siya. And then, yung kahilera niya na 0.10 na alpha, it's this. Since we are dealing with z-test, kasi proportion to guys, di ba yung z-test yung nasa pinakailalim? Ayan. So, ito yung nagre-represent ng z-test. Ayun, yung z sa ilalim. Kasi these are all for t-test. Kasi may df yan. So, since we are dealing with proportions, that is z-test, so, itong gagamitin nyo. 1.282. Okay? So, since nasa kanan siya, the critical value is in positive sign. So, 1.282. Ibig sabihin, itong edge na to, starting from 1.282 upward, pakanan, papunta na ng positive infinity, those are called rejected value. So, lahat ng papasok na value dyan, marireject yung HO. Okay? So, isa lang yung ating critical value dito, which is positive 1.282. Okay? Then, next is step 3. So, step 3 natin is the computation. So, unahin muna natin yung given, no? So, P sub 0, ayan. Kung ano yung ginamit nyo rito sa hypothesis, yun yung magiging P sub 0 nyo. Ayan na yun. So, 0.75. Kailangan nakadecimal. And then, sunod natin yung N muna, yung N. So, yung N dito, ibig sabihin yung respondents or number, sample size. So, in a random sample of 150. So, 150 yung kanilang in-interview. Okay? Pag sinabi natin, ito, that is called sample proportion. Pag sinabing sample proportion, ilan doon sa sample ang nagsabi na kapareha sila ng population proportion. So, in this case, ang nagsabi sa kanila na right-handed sila ay 120 out of 150. So, ang magiging proportion natin is 120 out of 150. And then, you get the decimal. So, 120 out of 150. Pero, ang in-interview pa rin dyan, guys, ay 150. Yun nga lang, ang nagsabi sa kanila sa sample na yan, na right-handed sila ay 120 lang. So, 120 out of 150. So, 0.8. And then, you will use the formula. So, babalikan natin to. Ayan. Ito, guys. So, nilagay ko yung mga parentheses dyan, especially to those people who have calculator with no fraction function. So, very important yung mga nilagay kong, ano ba to? parenthesis dyan. Okay? So, ang formula natin is P cup minus P sub 0 all over is square root of malaking parenthesis P sub 0 times 1 minus P sub 0 all over N. Tapos close parenthesis. Tama ba? Okay. Now, isasalpak na natin yung mga values. Ito, tatlo lang naman yan, guys, sila. Okay, so yung P cup natin is this one, the sample proportion. So, 0.8 minus yung P sub 0 natin is this, 0.75. Okay, all over square root of parenthesis. So, P sub 0, 0.75 times 1 minus 0.75. Ito, all over yung N natin is 150. Ayan. So, lahat pala, no guys, puro P sub 0 na, maliban dito sa isang to. So, isang beses nyo lang isasalpak si P cup. Dito lang siya sa una. Okay? And then the rest, P sub 0 na. Okay? So, sa calculus natin, kunin na natin yung value. Ayan. So, kunin yung calculator. For this calculator muna, ayan, salpak nyo, ayan, fraction. So, yung taas, kopyahin natin, 0.8 minus 0.75. Close parenthesis. Sa ilalim, pinutin si square root. Since fraction to, guys, ayan, lagay muna natin yung parenthesis. Ayan. So, parenthesis, square root, parenthesis. And then, since fraction nyo nasa loob, pagka input nyo nung square root parenthesis, press nyo ulit tong fraction na to. Kasi fraction siya. Yung nasa denominator. So, 0.75, kopyahin ko lang, times 1 minus 0.1 minus 0.75, close parenthesis. Sa ilalim, 150. Ayan. Tapos, bago nyo i-equals, kasi magsi-syntax error yan, make sure na input nyo tong malaking to. Okay? So, urong nyo muna sa kanan, and then, ayun, saka nyo input yun. So, pag equals natin, kunin si decimal. So, the answer is 1.41. Round off palagi sa hundredths place. So, 1.41. Ayan, may answer na tayo. Now, if you would ask me, ma'am, paano po dun sa mga calculator na walang ganito, walang fraction na ganito? So, ang gagawin nyo guys, dire-diretso lang yan sa pagsalpak. Magiging 0.8 minus 0.75. Ayan. And then, ito, gagawin nyo siyang divide sa calculus ninyo. Ayan. So, divide sa calculus and then pindutin si square root. Tapos, ito, pindutin si parenthesis. Tapos, 0.75. Tapos, bali, pagkapindot nyo nito, guys, si square root, tsaka nung first parenthesis, unahin nyo syempre yung nasa taas. Okay? So, 0.75 times 1 minus 0.75. And then, close ito. Tapos, divided by ulit, kasi fraction yon. Ayan. So, divided by ulit, 150. Tapos, i-close nyo itong malaki. Bale, ito siya, guys. Itong dalawang to, ayan, ito sila. Ito, tsaka ito. Yan yung malaki na yan. Okay? So, dapat, especially to those people na may calculus na walang fraction, sobrang importante, guys, ng mga parentheses. Okay? So, the answer is 1.41. And then, we will proceed to step 4. So, step 4 is the decision. So, paano ba tayo nagde-decision dito? Again, babalikan natin tong 1.41. Igagraph nyo siya dito. So, hahanapin natin siya. So, itong pinaka-edge na to is 1.282. So, 1.41 is greater than 1.282. Nandito yan. Diba? 1.41. Kasi mas malaki si 1.41 compared to 1.2. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, nandito siya sa loob. So, pag pumasok siya sa loob, ibig sabihin, reject the null. Ayan. And then, accept yung HA, syempre. Ayan. So, always, magde-decision muna regarding sa null and then sunod na si HA. Okay? So, step 5 is the conclusion. So, ito, reject daw. Ito, wait lang, lagyan muna natin yung claim ha. Nasaan ba yung claim? Ito, nasa HA siya. Kasi, ito, siya yung claim na more than 75%. So, ito yun. Okay? So, sabi dyan, reject daw to and then accept daw to. Since na-accept yung claim, ibig sabihin, the claim, ang ating final answer or conclusion is the claim of the researcher is true. So, true yung kanyang claim na more than 75% of Filipinos are right-handed. Okay? So, step 4, again, decision. Step 5 is conclusion. So, our conclusion is the claim of the researcher is true, or there is a sufficient evidence to support the researcher's claim that more than 75% of Filipinos are right-handed. Okay? So, ulitin ko lang guys dito sa decision. Alam ko marami pa rin nalilito. Kapag pumasok siya dun sa rejected area, ibig sabihin reject HO. Syempre, what will you do to HA? You will accept HA. For example lang, ang Z na na-compute natin, hindi ito. For example, alam mo ba sa calculus natin is 1. Ayan. So, kunyari 1. So, ang 1, pagka nilocate nyo yan dito sa ating graph, nandito siya. Kasi, mas maliit ang 1 kumpara sa 1.2, di ba? So, magwa 1 muna kasi paangat to guys eh. Ano yan eh? 1, 2, 3. Pag gano'n na siya, pa infinity na siya. So, ibig sabihin, mauuna si 1 bago mag 1.2. So, pag nandito siya, wala siya dito sa loob ng shaded region, ibig sabihin, accept to. Ayan. And then, syempre, kung inaccept to, mare-reject yung isa. So, ganun lang siya. Okay? So, ganun palagi mag-decision. Parang doon sa one sample z-test and t-test. Pero, ang sagot natin dito, 1.41. So, pumasok siya sa loob because it is greater than 1.2. So, ibig sabihin, reject HO, accept HA. So, kung na-reject to, accept to, so, ibig sabihin, true yung claim. Okay? Let us have the last example. A businessman owning a fast food chain claims that 80% of his customers are very satisfied with the restaurant's service. To test this claim, a researcher surveyed 200 customers. 148 of them said that they were very satisfied. At 0.05 level of significance, test the claim of the owner. So sabi rito guys, nag-interview sila ng 200 na tao and 148 out of 200 of them said that they were very satisfied. Pero ang kiniklaim ni businessman or yung may-ari ng fast food chain na 80% daw of his customers are very satisfied. So, andito yung claim niya. Ayan. He claims that 80% of his customers are very satisfied with their service. So, wala siyang binanggit na keyword dyan for greater than at saka less than. Wala rin siyang binanggit na parang pag sinabi na a businessman owning a fast food chain claims that not 80%. So, wala rin binanggit na word na not 80%. So, ibig sabihin, ang ang right way to represent itong claim niya is equal to 80%. Yan yung magsasabi sa atin na he claims that 80% of his customers are very satisfied. Ayan, kasi wala namang binanggit na more than 80%. Wala ring binanggit na less than 80%. Wala ring binanggit na not 80%. So, basically, equal to 80% yun. Okay? So, kunin muna natin yung decimal ng 80%. So, what will you do? Divide lang by 100. Ayan. So, 0.8 or 0.80. Okay? So, 0.8. So, ang ating claim, ayan yung claim na 80% daw ng customers ay satisfied. So, ibig sabihin, proceed na tayo sa step 1. Ayan, HO, HA. So, nasang column ba yung equal na sign? Di ba nasa HO yan? So, nandito ibig sabihin yung claim natin. So, nandyan yung claim. Kaya guys, hindi palaging nasa HA ang claim. Depende yon sa binigay na sa word problem. So, in this case, ang ating claim ay equal to 80% or claims that 80%. So, meaning, pag equal, nasa HO na column siya. Okay? So, ang magiging opposite niyan is not equal sa HA. So, ayan. Okay? Step 2 is state the level of significance. So, that is 0.05. Ayun. Okay? And then, yung ating test na gagamitin. So, ang test, since proportion to, z-test. Okay? And then, yung tail, by looking at HA, ayan. So, ang value ng HA natin ay not equal. Therefore, two-tailed siya. Ayan. Okay? Pag two-tailed, guys, you do not have to identify whether it is right or left kasi two-tailed naman eh. Okay? So, two-tailed, andyan. Wait lang, ang pangit. Ayan. So, since two-tailed siya, ayan. So, nandito, and then, andito. Okay? So, we will look up the critical value using this table. Ayan. So, two-tailed tayo. So, two-tailed, and then ang alpha natin is 0.05. So, 0.05 is here. And then, since z-test tayo, yung pinaka nasa dulo. Ayan. So, 1.960. So, 1.960, tas yung isa, syempre nasa kaliwa, negative 1.960. So, ibig sabihin, dalawa yung ating critical values, which are positive, negative 1.960. Okay? So, let us proceed with step 3. Ayan. So, guys, walang DF to ha. Again, kasi wala tayong, hindi to t-test. Z-test to. So, walang DF. Okay? So, step 3, ihanapin muna natin yung given. So, ang N natin dito, ilan yung customers na sinurvey? 200. Ayan. Tapos, yung P sub 0, yung hypothesized population proportion, ito na siya mismo, 0.8. And then, yung P cup natin, or yung sample proportion. So, 148 of them out of 200 said that they are very satisfied. Yun yung population proportion. Okay? So, 148 out of 200. Ayan. Okay? So, kunin lang natin yung decimal, 148 divided by 200. So, the answer is 0.74. And then, salpak sa calcu. So, ang calcu na, ang formula natin is P cup. So, 0.74 minus P sub 0, 0.8 all over square root of, ayan, yung malaking parenthesis. Sa taas, 0.8 ulit, P sub 0 times 1 minus P sub 0, 0.8 all over N, which is 200. Ayan, tas close parenthesis. So, sa calcu, again, sa calcu ninyo na walang fraction, ganito itsura niyan. So, 0.74 minus 0.8 divided by square root of parenthesis na to, ayan, 0.8 times 1 minus 0.8, close, tas divide 200, and then yung close na to, dito. Okay? So, try natin using yung hindi naka-fraction. So, parenthesis, 0.74 minus 0.8, close, divided by square root of parenthesis 0.8, open parenthesis 1 minus 0.8, close parenthesis, divided by 200. And then close. Huwag kakalimutan yung close sa dulo. So, ang sagot, negative 2.12, negative 2.12. Okay? Now, pag may fraction naman, so pindutin muna si fraction sa taas, 0.74 minus 0.8, close. Sa ilalim, square root, tapos yung parenthesis na malaki, then saka nyo pindutin si fraction, 0.8 sa taas, times 1 minus 0.8, close parenthesis, sa baba naman, 200, and then move sa kanan, saka nyo i-parenthesis. Ayan. So, the answer is the same, negative 2.12. Okay? So, step 4 is the decision. So, hanapin natin nasan ba si negative 2.12. So, obviously, kung negative, nandito siya sa kaliwa, and then kung itong edge na to ay negative 1, 0.9. Actually, dun pa lang, alam nyo na, kasi negative 1, negative 2. So, mas malayo si negative 2 kay 0. So, nandito siya. Negative 2.12. Kasi papalayo na yan, guys. 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and so on. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, si negative 2, mapupunta siya sa loob nito. Kasi ito, negative 1 to itong edge na to. Okay? Negative 1.960. Okay? So, kung pumasok siya doon, therefore, we will reject the null. Ayan. And then, syempre, accept the alternative. Okay? So, reject daw to, and then accept to. Okay? So, tama ba yung claim? Mali. Kasi na siya yung na-etis. So, ang step 5 natin, so the claim, sabihin na lang natin na the claim of the owner or the businessman is false. Ibig sabihin, mali yung sinabi niya, hindi natin pwedeng suportahan yung sinabi niya na 80% ng kanyang mga customer ay very satisfied. Okay? So, the claim of the owner is false that 80% of his customers are very satisfied. So, mali yun. Yung sinabi niya na yun. Okay? So, that is it for hypothesis testing for proportions.